now, Turkey is witnessing its greatest moment of mayhem and upheaval since the Gezi Park protests last summer. The spark of the unrest lies in a casket behind us. Inside that casket is the body of a 15-year-old boy, Berkin Elvan. 9 months ago, he was hit in the head by a police tear gas canister while shopping for bread. Yesterday, the news that he died caused thousands of Turks in over 15 cities to hit the streets. His death has become a platform for millions to vent against what they see as an increasingly authoritarian prime minister and his government.
Berkin'in hesabı sorulacak.
As you can see, the streets are packed with thousands of people, even more than expected. There physically could not be any more people on the streets. So right now the coffin is still inside. They're preparing to clear a corridor.
Arkadaşlar ambulansın yolunu açalım. Lütfen birbirinize yardımcı olun.
This is the march of people heading towards the cemetery, following the coffin for the burial. The mood is very different than it was last night. Last night the mood was very tense, very angry, very hostile. Today, I think just by the sheer fact of numbers, the sheer amount of people there are here, the mood is kind of almost celebratory, empowering. I mean, look, it just goes on forever. So we're back in the center of Istanbul. This is still the funeral procession marching towards the cemetery. And it's growing by the minute. Everywhere we walk, there seems to be more and more people. So it looks like the police have abandoned their vehicles. A couple of them have been attacked. And some few volunteer protesters are trying to protect the police vehicles from further damage. We finally made it to the cemetery where we're going to bury this young man.
Başka ülkelerin yöneticileri veya liderleri herhangi bir yolsuzluk davası ortaya çıktığı zaman veya herhangi bir başarısızlık hissiyatı ortaya çıktığı zaman görevlerinden istifa ediyorlar. Sorgulamayı bilmiyor bizim halkımız maalesef.
Helal olsun.
We just gathered here to say him a proper goodbye because we lost a child because of a police terror, and only justice can be brought by people standing together, showing solidarity to each other.
And where do you think things will go from here? What do you think will happen, say, tonight?
If you dig a bit from the grief, you will find the anger. That's how people feel right now. Just it needs a spark. It's so easy, and I'm sure that the spark will come from the police side, like it happened last night. It's so expected from the state, and now we are hearing about Turkey is changing, but changing to that which direction? State of justice or state of AKP?
So when we left the funeral, things were very peaceful, but we just got information that another group of protesters who were leaving the funeral were attacked by police with water cannon and tear gas as they were walking towards the center of Istanbul. We have protesters throwing stones at police, police throwing stones back, and I think firing tear gas. So far tonight we've seen very few protesters. The police have been quite successful in keeping people separate and away from the main arteries of Istanbul. There seems to be far more police clogging up these small streets than protesters.
Beşiktaş'a doğru giderken işte plastik mermisi olur, gazı olur. Hizmet anlayışı devam ediyor işte yani.
So we've just arrived in a neighborhood called Kurtuluş. We heard that about 15 minutes ago protesters had some control of some territory here. It seems that wherever the protesters are making some kind of presence felt tonight, the police are moving in hard and knocking them out. There's blood spattering on the floor, which is where a rice vendor was hit in the head with a tear gas canister fired by the police.
Kapıyı kapat!
Kapıyı kapatsana!
Things have started to liven up again. They threw some rocks at the cops, and the cops fired back with a lot of tear gas and a lot of bullets.
Çek adamı getir!
Yardım edin sana galiba, sarısı var galiba. Değil misin? Aferin.
Ne oldu lan? Siktir insan oldu! Rahat bırakın lan bizi! Kapıyı kapat! Serkan Sivil! Herkes öldürecek misiniz ya? Herkes öldürecek misiniz ya?
Today began with more than 100,000 people marching peacefully against an act of police brutality. Unfortunately, however, it ended with further police brutality. The day belonged to the demonstrators, but the night to the police. Istanbul's streets are now empty of protest. But for how long? Prime Minister Erdogan called demonstrators charlatans, terrorizing the streets before local elections scheduled later this month. He challenged his opponents to fight him not on the streets, but in the ballot box. I guess we'll see who comes off worse.